Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a really nice weekend. Welcome to our Copilot use cases webinar for the HR department this morning. We've got the lovely Angela, our Copilot specialist, who you may have seen before if you've attended any of our other Copilot webinars. Angela's going to be showing some demos and taking us through a day in the life roles within the human resources department, especially within the M365 applications like Word, Excel, and Outlook, etc. So this morning the webinar will be recorded, so don't worry if you did want to go back and have a look at anything, as it will be emailed out to you and then you can share it with colleagues, and we will have time for questions at the end as well. Otherwise, Angela, I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Vicky. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining. So yeah, I've got the pleasure of talking to you around Copilot, but on a HR level. But as Vicky's mentioned, you may have joined some of my previous webinars, and that was quite like a broad spectrum of how Copilot works in many different applications. So I'm really going to go a little bit more granular today in terms of how somebody in HR would be able to use Copilot for their day-to-day roles. So this is just a brief overview of what I'm going to be going through, the types of HR responsibilities that you may have, and how Copilot can actually benefit from those day-to-day tasks. So I'll be showing you some demos, how it works in certain applications, and also resources to support, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let's get through a bit of an overview. So I thought I'll put this slide together just to put together in terms of what types of job responsibilities HR might have. And to be honest, you might hold several different hats rather than just talent management, for example. You might be doing multiple different types of tasks rather than just sitting in one bucket, which also might be posing a lot more pressure to HR, shall I say. So which leads me to the next slide. So I would say HR is under a lot of pressure when it comes to meeting up with employee expectation, retaining staff, staying compliant, and also following that hybrid work as well that many staff members still want. And what I'm going to do is really bring it to light in terms of how is Copilot going to help with these types of roles in order to alleviate certain repetitive admin tasks so you can focus more on your high value work as well. So the main demos that I'm going to be going through is really communication and organization in Outlook, comparing different types of documents, agreements, versions, for example, in Word, and how you can use the best features in Word. And also, you know, when it comes to HR, you're not just speaking to your team member in HR. Most likely, you're having that communication through different types of departments. And how are you going to bring that together? What kind of applications can you use? And how is Copilot going to complement that communication as well? So let's get started with some of the demos. So we'll start off with Outlook. So this has all been pre-recorded in real time. So I have got a couple of unread emails, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to click onto Copilot on the top right hand side. I've clicked onto chat. It gives you like a work and a web toggle. So work is basically all of your internal data. Web is anything over the web, so internet searches. Don't worry, everything has enterprise data protection, so don't feel like you can't ask Copilot certain questions because it is protected. And I clicked onto a little toggle, which means you can change the mode, like the large language model, how you want Copilot to respond back. Quick, do you want a deeper response? And what I've asked Copilot is basically, can you summarize my unread emails in 3 categories: policy updates, general inquiries, and things that needs my urgent attention, and also set me a priority order. And you can actually expand on the reasoning part in order to basically see what Copilot is doing before it provides you the response that you want. But very quickly, as you can see, it has categorized it in those 3 buckets: policy updates, general inquiries, and urgent attention to follow on. So it's giving me a little bit of a summary of each email, and you can even click onto the email if you want to review it fully. As you can see, that's marked as high importance, which is why it's under urgent attention to follow. And at the very bottom, Copilot has provided me a priority order, the things that I need to do that needs my urgent attention ASAP, and things that I can address a little bit later in the day. There is a way of speaking to Copilot, because if you only typed in, summarize my unread emails, you'll get a response. But it's probably going to be something like this. So you'll just get bullet points of all of your unread emails. It's not going to be in certain categories. It won't say you need to prioritize X rather than Y. It's just going to be a quick summary of each email, which you could probably do yourself. So there is a little bit of an art to instructing Copilot as well. So hopefully as we go along on these demos, you'll understand prompting as well. But it's basically being specific. So those three areas were important to me, which is why I mentioned it. So rather than just being vague and Copilot kind of just like guessing at what you may like, just be very specific so it doesn't deviate, basically. Okay, so you can get Copilot to help you organize your inbox and put it in certain categories that's most important to you. You will also have, so this is with the paid version, everything I'm talking about is the premium Copilot. You also have a settings icon within Outlook, and this is the area that you tell Copilot, how do you sound on email? Because when you have the paid version of Copilot, it's when you send an email via Copilot, so when you want Copilot to draft you an email, it's not necessarily going to sound like you, but you can speed up that learning process through this settings icon. So what I'm going to say is, Copilot, I like to greet people saying hi. I don't really like including people's surnames when I greet them on email. I use British English language on my emails as well. And now if I scroll down, I'm going to tell Copilot, these are the types of emails I receive, and this is how I like to respond back. So you can tell Copilot, you know, those frequently asked questions that might come into your inbox from, you know, employees. Put those templates in. So when you get Copilot to draft you an email, I don't have to be specific. I'm literally clicking on draft with Copilot and I've typed in flexible working policy. I'm a very slow typer, but Copilot will respond very quickly. And as you can see, it's followed those pre-instructions. So I don't have to type it in over and over again. Imagine if I got 2 or 3 emails like that in a day or in a week, etc. It will save me that extra 2 minutes in order for me to type that in. So get rid of those mundane tasks and get Copilot to sound like you, and get rid of those frequently asked questions as well. Okay, so draft of Copilot, make it sound like you, and help you organize your inbox. Right, so next thing I'm going to talk about is Copilot for Word. So what I've received is a Word document from marketing, because we need to recruit for a product marketing manager. And what they've sent me is basically what they would be responsible for. And it's quite lengthy. I would say, I think it's about 1,500 words long. It's given me all the key responsibilities, basically what they would be expected to do in their role. You can click on summary. So this is part of Copilot, and it will give you a brief summary of what's included. And again, FAQs. So this can be quite useful if you just wanted to get up to date yourself. But I usually transfer it into a template in order for it to be quite unified, because I get loads of different types of job roles that come in. So how is Copilot going to help me extract everything from that lengthy Word document that was sent from marketing into this template without me having to manually do it myself? So back onto Word, onto a fresh page. I'm clicking onto the Copilot prompt box at the top. There's different ways of doing it. You can click onto it here, or on the top right hand side, if you can see a Copilot button, you can use it there as well. But basically what I'm asking Copilot is to extract all of the relevant information from that Word document that you've just seen and implement it into that template. Okay, it's not going to implement it into the original template, because you always want that blank really, but it's going to create you another template, but it will follow the same kind of subheadings and format that you would prefer. So as you can see, literally this has been recorded in real time. I haven't fast forwarded anything. It has pre-populated all of those areas. So it's still working. There we go. So this is still in draft. If it's highlighted in blue, it's still in draft. So you can choose to keep it or tweak it if you like. So you can review it. Obviously location, etc. Salary hasn't been inputted, which means most likely it hasn't been included in that Word document. So you can review it. A little bit about us, etc. And there is also citations, and it will tell you where those little numbers, it will tell you where it's got its information from. So if you attached more than one Word document, it will tell you which Word document, or even PDF, for example, or even Excel spreadsheet, what it's looking at. So let's say I'm actually quite happy with that. It's even divided what's essential criteria and what's desirable in terms of, what they're looking for this job role. But those citations, I don't really want people to look at when I recruit it. So we recruit for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, before I click on keep it, I'm going to say, well, I'm happy with this, but can you remove the citations? Rather than me having to manually delete it myself, because we don't really want to link that Word document or the template to the job description. And as you can see, it's generated the exact same response, but it's got rid of all those citations. And literally in seconds, we've got our template ready, rather than me having to do it that manually myself. So that's probably going to save you maybe 30 minutes to an hour, depending how long it takes you to go through those job responsibilities. Okay, so that's how you can obviously create job descriptions and still stay in line with key responsibilities from those certain departments. And you can further tweak it, as I have now. So if you wanted to rewrite, you can. So even if you didn't like the first draft, or if you have an existing document, you can further tweak it by rewriting it, condensing it, changing it into a table format. There's loads of different possibilities you can do within Word. You can even add images. I'm not sure why you'd want to add images for HR, but maybe you would. But yeah, that's within Word. Let's go talk about Copilot Chat. So I would say there is an embedded experience, which means Copilot works within applications like Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, but then there's also a standalone experience, which is Copilot Chat. So you can download the application, M365 Copilot, you can use it over your Teams. There's many different areas you can use Copilot Chat in, and it's basically, it can look at your entire graph. So it can look at anything you have access to. So in SharePoint, OneDrive, your emails, your Teams messages. And hopefully you've already read what I've typed in. I've attached 2 versions of an agreement, but I don't want to manually look at what's the difference between both of them. What's the updates? So I've asked Copilot to do it for me and put it into a table format as well, because that's by preference. Yours might be a couple of bullet points. Just mention what your preference of formatting would be, and I've put on GPT-5, but it will be by default now, but you can choose 5.2, which is the latest large language model. You can see what Copilot is doing whilst it's generating the response. And as you can see, it's given me an executive summary on some of the differences. And if I scroll down, I've got my table. So it's telling me the things that haven't changed, but it's also telling me the things that have, like minimum purchase requirement has increased, for example. And if we keep scrolling down, there has been a late payment interest that has reduced, which is quite nice. Now, that's a good way in order for you to get up to date in terms of different types of versions. I know you probably get different types of policy updates, etc. So you can easily refer to those differences using Copilot Chat without actually having to open that entire document and go through it yourself. So this time I've done the same thing. I've attached those 2 agreements, but I want to make sure everybody in my team is up to date with these changes as well. So I'm basically saying, I would like to update my team with these changes. Please create an email, keep it clear and concise. And as you can see, it's given me just the things that has been changed. So in my previous demo, we've seen everything that was changed, but also things that hasn't changed. Whereas now it's really plucked out the stuff that really my team needs to be alerted on in terms of those recent updates. And that's all through Copilot Chat without you having to type it yourself. Okay, so that's Copilot Chat in terms of comparing different types of agreements. Let's talk about grievance. So we might get certain complaints that come through via HR about internal complaints, grievance forms, etc. So we did have one that came through. I typed everything onto Word in terms of who's delegated what job in terms of investigating this grievance review. And what I've done is I've asked Copilot to summarize the meeting with action items. So I want to make sure that everybody knows what they're going to do at the end of it. Again, I said to put it into a table format. And as you can see, very, very clearly, everybody knows what they need to do after the initial review call. What I've done, if I just go back again, I have pasted my notes. So let's just rewind a little bit. You can turn transcription on. So when you're having like a grievance teams meeting, for example, you can turn transcription on, but I'm not sure if you feel like it might be fully compliant or necessary, or the other person that you're questioning might be fully comfortable with transcription on. So if you have got transcription on and it is agreed on both parties, then that's completely fine, which is better because you'll be able to have Copilot. If you have transcription on, you'll be able to use Copilot and get your action items automatically. Whereas if you don't turn transcription on, then yes, you'll have to start typing your notes manually, but then do what I've done and say, give me a summary, give me those action items. So there's two ways. Transcription is a bit more easier, but if you feel like that's a red cross against it, then do what I've just done in my previous demo, where I've just asked for a summary after I've just handwritten or typed everything up. So what I've done is I've pasted all of my notes, and I'm now going to ask Copilot, what kind of questions can I ask Alex for this investigation? So we've done the pre-call, and now we've delegated tasks to everyone in terms of what we're going to do. And Copilot has suggested the types of questions that I can ask in order to make sure that I'm staying fully engaged, and I'm asking the right kind of questions based on that scenario. And as you can see, it's separated it in different types of subheadings in terms of gathering more evidence, getting more clarity against what the complaint is, etc. So get Copilot to give you a helping hand. It's not only going to summarize documents and highlight key differences. It's if it understands the context of what you're trying to do, it will be able to give you a helping hand as well in terms of what else you can do. Okay, let's move on to Excel. No, this is not Copilot for finance, but most likely you might be using Excel every now and then. So I just want to show you that, no, you don't really need to learn formulas just because you're on Excel. You can get Copilot to help you. So I've created a demo all around maternity pay. And so we internally might provide something like enhanced pay. So I've basically said maternity leave starts on the 1st of April 2026. They roughly get about £600 per week, and starting certain weeks I want enhanced pay to kick in. And then Copilot has come back and started to give me nice formulas, and I am not an Excel expert, so this is just going way beyond my head. I'm not really sure what to do with these formulas, and it does give me step-by-step guidance on what to do, but I said, can you do it for me? So Copilot has created the table for me. So that was just one extra prompt, and I click on insert to a new sheet, and Copilot has implemented all of that for me based on my requirements from the 1st of April 2026 going up to, I think it was 32 or 34 weeks, and when enhanced pay would kick in, which would be, I think, a week 7, etc., and then when they get the flat rate. So obviously each staff member might have different types of benefits, and this is a quick way to get Copilot to help you understand how long they're going to get their enhanced pay for, when statutory pay will kick in, how much they're going to receive, for how long. Get Copilot to do all of that. And if anybody on call today actually understands Excel a little bit better than I do, then you can go ahead and learn with those formulas. You don't have to get Copilot to implement it for you. You can use those formulas and implement it yourself. Okay, so that's Copilot in Excel. Let's talk about Loop. Okay, so you may not know what Loop is. Loop is actually part of your license already. Loop is all around project planning. It's about when you're collaborating with different people in your organization, then Loop is a really, really good place to start. So you do have things like OneNote, for example. You might be using that. You might have different types of tabs depending on what you're working on. But I would say that's more for personal use, whereas Loop is more for like teamwork, for example. So yes, I'm talking about Loop, but Copilot does integrate within it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my video. And I've opened up a clean page. I've named it policy update, and I'm talking about all the different types of changes in policies, but different departments need to review this in order for them to stay up to date. So I've asked Copilot to put it into a tidy table for me, and I'm going to share this with the different people. So I'm going to just delete the areas that I don't want. And I'm not going to share the entire page. I kind of just want to share the table. So this is called a loop component. Okay, so the content has been generated by Copilot, and we're going to move back to loop capabilities now. So I'm going to email Angela, myself, and I'm going to say, can you please review this? So let's say I've sent this to many different people in departments. I've pasted that link, and as you can see, it's given me a live snippet of my loop page. I didn't share my entire page, so it's like they have to go onto a different window. They can stay, as you can see, I've received the email. I can stay within my email. I can edit it within my email. So I'm saying I reviewed the first one about eligibility. I'm adding my comments to it. And this is the magic of Loop. If I go back into my page, you can see it's already been updated in real time. And if we do a side-by-side view, you can see I'm crossing out my name, and in my Loop page, it's been crossed out. So this is really good just to make sure that you're not constantly updating a system just because people are sending you notes. You can just share a Loop component, get Copilot to help you create that content, and then share it on a Teams chat, on an email, on a Word document, and people can stay within that location, whether it's email, Word, etc., rather than them jumping into your Loop page. Okay, and you don't have to share the entire page. As I said, you can just share a certain element of that page. So that is Loop, a bit of an educational piece as well. So if that's relevant to you, then please start using it. And obviously, if you have Copilot, even better. So you can get Copilot to create you that content, as I have. Let's talk about the customization piece. So conscious of time, so I'm just going to speed through this. I would say you would hit a certain wall when you get to productivity in certain applications, and that's when you start to create your own co-pilots, which is basically called agents. I've created my own dedicated agent, and it's all around sieving through CVs. So I've asked Copilot to see if there are any CVs that I've uploaded to my agent. I might have hundreds of CVs uploaded to my agent, and I've got a new job opening around mechanical engineering in Bristol, and Copilot has basically said there's 2 candidates that would suit that role, and it's scored 15 out of 15 based on location, skilling, and experience, and why they've scored that high as well. It's given me an explanation. I've gone a little bit further, saying, do you want to draft me an email, etc. But you don't have to go that far. But basically, the aim of agents is basically creating something a little bit more specific to a certain job role, like HR, but again, going a little bit deeper, like recruiting, and getting it to behave in a certain way rather than asking the same question over and over again or uploading the same documents, etc. Bit of inspiration. So there's something called Scenario Library, Copilot Scenario Library. Please have a look at this online, and it will give you a day in a life in different types of job roles in HR. And there is also an ebook. Not sure if I can play the video. There we go. There's also an ebook that would share with you other scenarios where HR can use Copilot, and it will give you step-by-step guidance on what prompts to use, why you'd want to use Copilot in that specific scenario, so you don't feel like overwhelmed. So you have a lot of inspiration. I would say next steps would be to reach out to your account manager for a readiness assessment to see if your organization is ready for Copilot in terms of like permission leveling, data estate, etc. And Cobweb will be able to provide that report back to you in terms of next steps. And there is a lot of promotions that are running at the moment, so good time to join. Up until the end of March, you can receive up to 35% off Copilot licensing, depending on what promo you choose, because there is quite a few. I don't want to overwhelm you, but if you reach out to your account manager, they will let you know which one you are eligible for. Right, I'll pass it back to Vicky. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Angela. That was really helpful. If anyone has any questions, please just pop them in the chat, and we will go through those and have a little look. But while we just wait to see if any come through, we of course still have our other departmental webinars running this week if you would like to come to any of the others. So we have got the marketing webinar at 11 a.m. this morning, and then we've got another on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning as well. So I can pop the link in a moment where you can sign up. But like Angela said, if you have any more queries or questions, just get in touch with your account manager at Cobweb, or if you don't deal with us at Cobweb, just ask whoever does deal with us at Cobweb to get in touch. So has anyone popped anything in? Which is always a good sign because it means that you ran through everything perfectly, Angela. I don't think so. I will add the link in now if anyone did want to sign up, but otherwise we will let you go because we have overrun, so I'm very sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, have a lovely rest of your day and see you at 11 a.m. if we're going to see you for the marketing webinar. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.